Our second speaker is a passionate software developer with a strong focus on Angular, TypeScript, and .NET, always looking for ways to build efficient and seamless applications. He's been part of Vaultec for a little over 3 years now as a senior Angular developer, building scalable solutions, improving and contributing towards existing ones, and mentoring colleagues on Angular best practices. He enjoys solving project architecture challenges, complicated UX and UI challenges, optimizing performance, and integrating both front-end and back-end systems run smoothly. Beyond coding, he has taken a lot of interest in different fields, often exploring new technologies just for the fun of it. When he's not deep into a project, he's probably enjoying playing his guitar, learning how to make the best Neapolitan pizza at home, or training just to be in a better shape. Fun, right? Let's learn about eliminating type duplication, Annex, for a seamless Nest.js and Angular integration from Kristijan Vidojkovikj, a senior web engineer at Vaultec. Kristijan, welcome.
Test. Thank you very much. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. My name is Kristijan Vidojkovikj. This is my first public speaking where I will try to explain to you how I used Annex for a seamless Nest.js and Angular integration, thus eliminating type duplication. So a little bit about myself. I have been in Vaultec for over 3 years now with a main focus on Angular, and where I have been developing beautiful applications that scale. And the one thing I like most about Angular is its structure, its tidiness, and all of the opinionated stuff that come with it. If anybody has worked with Angular, you must already know. And I thought to myself, can this structure and tidiness be shared in some other place in the application, for example, the API or the backend? So this got me thinking, is there some other language or technology that we can use which has this tidiness, this structure that also Angular has? And I came across Nest.js, which is almost exactly the same language because it's in TypeScript, it's the same structure, although it just has controllers instead of components, and it's a module-based system as well, which makes this very easy for us. So with this in mind, I started thinking of a problem that I had at work, which was, I believe, lots of other people have faced too, which please raise a hand if some of you have worked in different teams, I mean, in separate teams, front-end and back-end, where the front-end team is in one technology and the back-end team is in another technology. So please raise a hand if somebody worked in a situation like this. Okay, interesting. So let me paint a familiar picture, which many of you obviously still know. The one team has some planning for creating some kind of new feature. Also, the other team, which is the backend team, also has some of their own meeting where they discuss what they will have to send for the front end, and they define their own types or their own models, which conceptually are the same. They often tend to differ in their structure. So if this ring any bells, I am feeling you because I have been experiencing this also in several teams. And this got me thinking, maybe there is a cleaner solution, a better solution for this to be handled. And for smaller, for less headaches for us as developers. So for example, other than both of these logos that you see here, can you spot any other difference in the image? Okay, let me try this. So here I have two models which represent the front-end model and the back-end model, if you can see right here. And although it's the same exact model, which is a new car DTO, there can often be some kind of mistakes, be it one of them has one S more than the other, the one has balance. The backend team thought that it would be a good idea to be a mount and not balance. So somewhere along the way, when the team was making their plan on how to make this thing work, they made some kind of mistake, which we all know that can happen more than we like to admit to ourselves. So with a structure like this, I thought to myself, there surely can be a better way, some way for us to just make it once, plan it once, and then just execute from there. And from here, we can see that for some of the items in this class, this doesn't have a line, and expiration mount here has a line, and stuff like this. Does this ring any bell? Does anybody here has the problem in the future or in the current project that they have? Please raise a hand if there's something like this. Interesting. I didn't expect anybody to have it, but okay. Interesting. So with a problem like this, you can see that and imagine that surely bugs will creep in, integration will break, and testing of the application will eventually become a minefield. So one day I said to myself, there must be a better way to merge these two applications together that both are in TypeScript, both are structured, both are opinionated. And I came across a very powerful tool which is called Annex. This threw me deep inside the rabbit hole, which helped me understand that yes, something like this can be possible, so we can achieve this. And exploring Annex, I found out that they have really powerful tools that they call generators, executors, and code migration tools. And essentially, these are just CLI commands that you can type out, and we can generate our code, execute our code, and maybe even migrate our code. I will explain a little later in the slides what this actually means. So, with this in mind, we now are able to make a perfect harmony, which is the Angular and the Nest.js application, thus creating some kind of type or a class or an interface, whatever we may need, that we can just create once, use everywhere in the application, and maybe even change some of it along the way. So why Angular and Nest.js? Like I said, these are both opinionated. It's basically the same structure, and because Annex supports them natively, and we can do wonders with this. What Annex basically allows us here to do is that we are able to make them live in one same roof, where they can create their libraries, some other applications, for example, some modules and so on and so forth. And if we can see here, just by running some simple CLI commands, Annex allows us to generate a kind of a graph, or as they call it, a dependency graph. And here we can see that my application, which is the front-end application, is called Jarvis, not to be with mistaken with D-Jarvis. This is just a fun way of saying just a rather very intelligent scheduler. And also we can see that there is one application here which is called API. These bubbles here are a representation of modules. So this is one module for the front-end application, and these are modules for the back-end applications. I don't know if it's clear to see from the back and from up, but there is one bubble here, or library as they call it, which is called shared. This is where the magic happens here with the NX monorepo. Because if we can see, if we follow these lines, these dependency lines, we can see that a finances client is using this shared library, which is from the front-end application, and also finances API, which is from the back-end application or the Nest.js application. And with this very powerful combination, we can see that it is very shared to share this logic. It is very easy, to share this logic between both of the applications. And using NX's powerful tools that it has, or as I call them, those simple CLI commands, we can see that I was able to generate multiple applications. So here is the API, which is the Nest application, the Jarvis, which is the front-end application, and all its libraries that we may need in the future. So we can see that this is one repo and one place from where the code can be developed and improved upon. So these are those CLI generators that I said, and as you can see, there are not many. This is 5 or 6 lines of CLI commands that I used in order to firstly create the NX workspace, which is the place where NX has a special word for this repo, or for the place that we can develop our apps on, which is on the workspace. And here I also used these commands to create the front-end application, which is an Angular application. As you can see, NX allows us to do that as well. Also the Nest application, the API, which is here. And also I was able to also create the libraries for them, or the modules, simply put, which is the finance client and the finance API. And last but not least, where all the magic happens, is where I have used the TypeScript generator here in order to create the shared library. So this shared library, if we can see here from this picture, I have some expense DTO class here that I have created, which has an ID created on, a label, an amount, and so on and so forth. You get the idea. The main thing about this model here, or this class here, is that we can import it as simply as we have imported any other type, enum, or class on it, or interface, just by using it wherever we want in the whole repo. So if we can see here, I am using it in the expenses controller, which is in the API part, and I'm also using it in the expenses component, which is the front-end part. And with this, we have put everything that we are using in both of the applications in one place. So no more, let's hop on some call, let's see how this works. You can just open it, see it. If you change it, you will be not allowed because your Visual Studio Code, or in whichever tool you're working with, will shout that there is some kind of a problem here. So with this, finally, we can achieve no duplication, at least idealistically. So no duplication, no inconsistencies in our code, just one truth, one class to rule them all. And the payoffs for using this solution here at least to my knowledge, are very good because it saves us time and there are fewer bugs, sure. Development is simply faster with this, but it does something more deeper than that. It aligns our teams. So, less confusion, we have less bugs, and finally, integration becomes collaboration more than a confrontation. And of course, there are many doubts. When I was exploring this and trying to figure out if it will work or if it's not going to work, I came across several doubts, which these were one of my own. So the first thing was, what if the teams use different languages? Yes, of course, the teams can use different languages, as we all know. So for example, how many of you, please raise a hand, how many of you are working on a different language than the backend team or vice versa? Yeah, that was expected. So if you are using different languages and the teams do not have the budget or they do not really want to switch, this is simply not the solution for you. And it's not the solution for everything, but if both of the technologies use the same language, or for example, one is using TypeScript or the other one is using JavaScript, this is a very solid solution, if you ask me. Also, there was a doubt about what if our repo is split, which is the case in almost every other second team. And this is also a very good question, because if you remember just a second, here that I mentioned the code migration tool, which helps us with just one CLI command. Take everything from one repo or one part of the code, for example, the backend or the front-end code. This will help us migrate. So what this means is it will create a new folder. It will move that folder or that application to the newly created workspace, where we will be able to use it in conjunction with our front-end application. We are here. And does this scale? So, this question was more of a rhetorical question, to be honest, because having this structure, having this one place where we can just set our code and where we have some opinionated guidelines that we have set up, if you ask me, this is the perfect way to scale your application if you're already using these languages or plan to use these languages. And to be frankly honest, I haven't really tried this in any of my applications at work, because let's face it, there need to be some budget cuts if we do stuff like this. There will need to be a lot of changes, and not everybody would like to make the change in their own code. But after exploring this idea, after researching it and prototyping it, I really do believe in this idea, because it's simple, it's elegant, and best of all, it solves our problem. And with this in mind, I'm simply here to just share this idea with you. Sorry, got a little bit greedy. To simply share this idea with you, not as a policy solution, not as something that I have done, but maybe as an idea that you can take it home, maybe further develop on it, and if you do, please contact me and tell me about your whole journey with it. And so, this is not my quote, obviously, but after working with Nest.js, I really started to like this idea. So, don't repeat yourself, especially if the compiler can do it for you, meaning that NX is the one that gives us this free will to do so. And with this, I think that Great engineering is about eliminating the necessary complexity in our code. So, simply put, please everyone, let's just stop writing the same thing twice. Thank you all for this presentation. And lastly, does anybody have any questions?
Okay, a lot of questions and not
Yeah.
much time. We'll go with 2 questions just to keep the time within our agenda. Okay, we have a question over there. Thank you.
I would like to ask how effective is the NX incremental build caching in the CI/CD pipelines, especially when deploying, when we have a project with multiple applications?
Yeah, so NX has the special caching like you mentioned.
Yeah, the incremental build caching.
Yeah, the incremental build caching. So, yes, from what we saw with that graph that I just showed, NX allows us to build only that part of the code that has the changes, and those tags that we set for that part of code will allow us to faster compile this and run this. And for example, in future features or changes that we would like to do in the code, just running the simple command which was affected build will help us see which parts of the code were affected, and only that part of the code will be built, and the other one will just use the cache build that it already had, which is very powerful in order to slash the time, I think, by half or something. So it's very effective.
Thank you.
Thank you for the
Thank
question.
you. We have another question over here and over there as well. Can you pass the microphone, please, to the lady on the green row? Thank you.
Thank you. So, as I understood correctly, both frontend and backend are in the same repository, which means
Yeah.
documents are also shared. So my issue with that, because frontend and backend team progress at their own tempos, there are often cases when, let's say, a bug has been found in staging, and it should be, let's say, it's only a backend solution that should deploy to staging before it makes it to production. Aren't there going to be many cases where frontend has made changes in dev that they are not ready to release to staging, but then backend should make a release? How is this going to handle those problems? Because I mean, it's something that, at least in my project, or I often notice that it's not always possible for backend and frontend to be completely synchronized at all times.
Yeah, and they are not completely synchronized at all time. That's why I had this presentation here. But yeah, it was a good question, because not all parts of the code have to be shared. So this can be just one part, just one library that is known to be shared. And if the bug is in that particular library, the teams will have to work together for this bug, and eventually we'll have to deploy it all in one release, if that makes sense to you. And but for the most part, I believe that they both of the teams will not have this kind of problems, because both of them have their own code base, and we have NX has a form of tags that will separate these both projects, so that the one cannot do such changes and use stuff from the other projects. And yeah, you should not have some problems like that, but if you do come across a problem like that, it will be easier to fix that problem, because it will be all in one place. And when you change that place, the problems will be visible in the front end and in the back end, wherever we use that, I don't know, interface or class or whichever we use.
Yes, that was actually my second concern. So, I mean, what you said also answers my second question, which is so it's possible to have data models that are not in a shared domain with the front end.
Yes, yes,
because
yes.
there are sensitive data in there.
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
That is all,
Okay,
thank
I think
you.
that
Thank you.
I think that we have time for one more question over there. Okay. Thank you.
Hi, my question is NX compatible and easy to integrate with other languages and frameworks as well?
Well, having in mind that NX has a main focus on TypeScript, and it also has some support for other languages. Like, for example, there's a newly added support for .NET, but it will not be in a level of the support it has for TypeScript. So you can use it, but it's still experimental, and I don't think that it will be good for a production-ready code. So, in my opinion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, if whoever has some more questions, you can find Kristijan outside on the coffee break. You can share your contact and feel free to continue your Q&A session and discussions. Thank you, Kristijan.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.